welcome. It's good to have you with us today. You can see on your screen, you've reached the University of Pennsylvania Wharton Executive Education Program Overview webinar. We're going to be talking all about this upcoming course. You'll see this here on your screen, Understanding the Brain, using neuroscience to deliver better business results. So we're going to dive into two key areas here as we make our way through this session. We're going to be talking all about the content of this program. What can you expect to learn? Who was this program designed for? And what are some of those overarching learning objectives you can expect to take away from this program? We're going to dive into details, and we're going to show you how the through line of your learning will unfold across your experience in this program. The second thing we're going to be doing here today is talking about how that learning is delivered. We here at the Wharton School use innovative online learning tools and resources to ensure that you have the very best experience possible. And we're going to highlight that here for you today. So if you're interested in learning more about what is it like to be a participant in this program, how much synchronous learning is there, what are those interactions like, we're going to cover all of that here today. So as we get started, we're about 3 minutes in. I want to take a moment to stop and welcome each and every one of you to today's session. You all are the stars of the show here, investing in your learning and joining this vibrant community of over 250,000 learners from across the globe who are all working to upskill and continue their lifelong learning journeys. Here is where I have the great honor and privilege of introducing today's keynote subject matter expert and the other star of the show, your program leader for this program, Daniel Iglesias. Daniel, thank you for being here. I know you're a program leader in this program. Would you like to jump in and greet our audience here today?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As Marie mentioned, we are so incredibly excited to communicate to you the opportunity to really join this community and broader learning experience through Wharton to really understand the core elements of what understanding brain science can do to help unpack the world of business and thrive as a successful workforce participant. I do plan to introduce myself further in our presentation, but I'll pass it back to Marie to continue queuing us up.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That was a quick snapshot in what's to come. I'm going to hand over that spotlight here to Daniel in just a moment. But as he mentioned, we wanted to first help set the stage as you think about your learning here at the Wharton School. So why devote your time and energy in this program at the Wharton School? Why learn understanding the brain through Wharton Online? So let's introduce you to this broader community that you're joining. This ecosystem of learning starts with the Wharton School. Many of you know this, but the school was founded in 1881 as the very first collegiate business school ever to exist on the globe, on the planet. So as you think about joining a program that's steeped in tradition, history, and innovation, the Wharton School, when it comes to business education themes, is the source of knowledge here. They, as you can see here, have been partnering across the globe since 1881 to bring a globally recognized intellectual leadership and ongoing innovation to every major discipline within business education. So you are going to have a cross-disciplinary approach to your learning in this program. And in addition to that, we're going to engage with one another and really capitalize on our peer network and on our teaching team as we make our way through our learning. So as you join this program, we spend a great deal of time thinking about your connections, those peer networks that you're making here in the program. And that's folded into the way that we design the curriculum as well. We build in a lot of opportunities for you to engage with one another and get to know one another. You'll see some information about your alumni stats here. We encourage you to come back and take a closer look, but over 99,000 graduates from the Wharton School each and every year. So you're certainly joining a very broad, illustrious, and decorated group of alumni. Over 50 programs to choose from here at the Wharton School, 3 million learners worldwide, including online learners such as yourselves, all accessing the incredible wealth of knowledge here at the Wharton School from the comfort and convenience of your own environment. So a lot in store here as you think about joining the Wharton School and joining as a member of this community. We do have a call to action here from Dean Erica James, Dean of the Wharton School. So as this really sets the stage for our learning in this program and in all of Wharton programs. And this idea of innovation is at the heart of what we do here at the Wharton School. So Dean James tells us, today's environment means you can't afford to simply respond to or manage change. The best businesses must anticipate change and even intentionally create change so as not to become complacent. So change equals growth. At Wharton, we are excited to be the partner to help get you there. So that's what you can expect from your learning. This is a program designed to help you bring your learning into real-time action as you make your way through the program. So all of our learning really aimed at helping you to make use of that transformative experience and make innovative changes within your field and industry. So a lot in store here for you in this program. I'm going to now hand over that spotlight to Daniel so he can take us through this program overview. I'll be coming back into the session a little bit later on to talk about the program experience.
Thanks, Marie. I appreciate it. And as promised, I'll continue with a brief introduction on myself. Thank you again for joining us. I'm very excited to be joining you as a program leader and subject matter expert. I've become quite familiar and intimate with the content and material over the past several years, as I myself was a graduate of the Wharton School, which Marie introduced at the beginning of our presentation. I had the pleasure of working directly with our course instructor and faculty, Dr. Michael Platt, who has really shaped a thesis around the value of the work that this course aims to spread to the broader academic and professional community of the intersection between neuroscience and applications to business, whether that means becoming a more successful workforce participant by increasing the amount of synchrony between peer groups in a team setting, or more effectively understanding consumer decision-making to optimize for better marketing performance or financial decision-making. So the course lends itself to really improve business throughout several lenses and fields. And I look forward to sharing a bit of that with you throughout our slides that really communicate a background of who this course is for and what you will get out of it by module. So to begin, as I briefly introduced, we'll go over what the concept of the course, the underlying pinnings of the course are, and what it seeks to connect. So as mentioned, there are two disciplines that really the course unpacks here: neuroscience, more academically, as the core and foundation of the course, and then its intersection with business. So to begin, we'll talk about just that. On an individual level, it is important to understand the brain because it is what is tied to our happiness, our interpersonal relationships, and our productivity. That transitions well to an organizational level where you all will be applying this coursework to your actual day-to-day experiences. At the organizational level, the brain impacts our ability to communicate, build teams, and gauge customer preferences and actions. Neuroscience helps with just that. Given that neuroscience is the study of the human brain and neurological systems, when one understands neuroscience, they can also understand the key emotions and decision-making processes that peer humans go through. With neuroscience and business, we can help leaders and businesses achieve more informed decisions, forge deeper social connections, and predict customer needs and behaviors. So when you think about what key critical questions you will ask yourself as a student and participant in this course, as lifelong learners, you'll think, how do I improve business performance? How do I foster a culture of innovation? And how do I improve my leadership skills? All of which, through having experienced this course, you should be able to know that the answer comes with having a better understanding of neuroscience and business and their intersection. Transitioning to our next slide, I'd like to touch briefly on Michael Platt, who I mentioned I've had the privilege to be able to work with for several years at this point. Dr. Michael Platt is the director of the Wharton Neuroscience Initiative. He is a James S. Repeat University professor of marketing at the Wharton School, professor of psychology, professor of neuroscience, so that he holds 3 faculty department chairings within the University of Pennsylvania. He is a deep community leader, and he serves as a Penn Integrates Knowledge professor. His appointments are clear signals of his ability to connect various disciplines and thrive within them. And because of that, it's that he was able to put together a course around answering the key challenging neuroscience questions of the 21st century. He has been featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and more. And we deeply recommend to all of you who are considering your enrollment to review his bio along with our others spotlights when these materials are shared with you within the next day. Transitioning to one of the inspirations for our course and a key advisor, we also have Soren Patilanet as our guest contributor. He's a global director of Mars Marketing. You all may be familiar with Mars from some of your day-to-day encounters. If you ever grew up eating a Snickers or a Twix bar, you've come across Mars. And Soren directly serves from the marketing angle globally for Mars directly. Mr. Catalena is currently partnering with the Wharton Neuroscience Initiative and thinking about how Mars can improve their neuromarketing. This applies to how we shape the course because he's providing a lens directly on the field, but we are also directly working with Soren to help Mars improve. And that's why we'll look at them as a case study. And we actually have a spotlight on that later in our presentation today. So transitioning to our key program takeaways, what should one who is a participant in this course be able to take away with them after having gone through their experience and receiving their certificate? There are 6 pillars: understanding the basic anatomy and physiology of the brain and master techniques for leveraging cognitive insights. That's really going to tie down to the fundamentals of the course from an academic lens, truly understanding neuroscience and the brain. And from thereafter, we'll turn the key and unlock leveraging facets of the brain to increase social capital, establish culture, and manage organizational change. Second, synthesizing implications for business decisions using concepts such as normalization, the basis of choice overload, and decoy effects, in addition to evidence accumulation. When you think about choice overload, you can think about walking into a grocery store, seeing many shelves, all of which have different items with different positioning. Marketing is at the core of that. And as a consumer, you'll be able to understand why certain retailers are willing to charge different distributors and brands for their positioning. How does that tie into the key business decisions, and what does the consumer go through in their decision-making about where they see product placement and pricing? Next, we'll learn how to use neuroscience tools and insights to improve marketing efficiency and effectiveness. And lastly, we'll examine the brain processes underlying exploration to enhance individual creativity and boost organizational innovation. These are the key pillars that will shape the course of this program. And throughout each of them, you'll see applications with each module that we will now be reviewing. So before we go into a module by module breakdown for the components of our course, we'll restate who this program is truly for. We've already discussed that the program is for someone who wants to understand how to establish social connections, improve neuromarketing or marketing efficiency more broadly at their firm, and many other business applications. But more broadly, we'll go through these 4 elements about who the program can serve best. Those who want to improve social connections, improve team effectiveness, make less emotion-driven decisions, and unlock the creative powers of the brain to achieve better, more creative and innovative results. So as we begin to understand the course by module, as mentioned previously, we'll kick off the course with a better understanding of the brain and an introduction to neuroscience. The brain is a complex organ, and it has vital functions that shape our day-to-day actions and thoughts. To begin, the brain empowers our perception, emotion, and thinking, and those are just a few. Throughout this course, you will understand basic brain structure, what is truly within our heads. And although that seems quite basic, that'll actually allow you to understand how several key areas of the brain are later studied in an academic and field context to understand how human and consumer decision-making influences choice. So how will we do that? First, we'll examine the anatomical structure of the brain, including the main lobes and their functions. Later, we'll discover how the brain changes over time as one ages. Learn the functions of neurons, their structures, and how they communicate to one another. Explore the temporal and spatial scale of neurobiological measurement and manipulation techniques. And lastly, we'll assess the advantages and limitations of wearable technology and brain manipulation. So we'll take a quick transition to understanding the brain, and later what technology exists to date to help unpack and explore the brain. Throughout each module, we will also do a variety of activities that consist of assignments, discussions, and more. For the first module, we'll start with a case study on wearable technology. As many of you know, wearable technology is a growing field. Apple has worked on Apple Health for quite some time from a biometrics basis, and so has Whoop. But in addition to that, we're seeing more and more products scale within the neurospace. One like Cogware, which was actually founded by Professor Platt, while others are also directly related to Cogware, are working to understand the impact that looking at neuroscience and neuroactivity can have on a given individual's life experiences. For example, Cogware, which we will later go through a case study, is working directly with athletes to think about how the brain is reacting and thinking during game time. Transitioning to module 2. Within module 2, we'll explore building culture and relationships. The social brain plays a powerful role in building relationships. Now the question is, how? At this point in the course, we'll have already looked at the brain and understood its main lobes and functions, but now we'll transition to understanding how the social brain actually impacts our daily experiences in the workforce, how to increase social capital, establish culture, manage organizational change, and foster personal growth, along with professional growth, by understanding the brain best. As we do this, we will learn methods of exercising the social brain network, examine the implications of synchrony for team building and cultivating engagement, and leverage neuroscience insights to help our organizations understand the importance of change management. So we'll transition from having studied the brain to think about its impact on our capacity to increase our relationships and better them within work, and then how to communicate the value of that within a management context as the industry continues to become more recognized and it increases the importance of it within a workspace. Examples of this are the growth of chief of neuroscience roles appearing throughout Fortune 500 companies. As mentioned previously, throughout each module, we will do a variety of activities. For module 2, you'll actually create a strategy to increase synchrony and social ties within your current organization. For module 3, we will then look at neuroscience of decision-making and leaders. So as the course begins, we'll look at the anatomy of the brain, then think about social connections and our workforce experiences, and then consider decision-making. Decision-making is something that we can unpack for our own experiences, but then to think from a business standpoint, how to best persuade or influence the actions of consumers. So for that, we'll first learn how the brain assimilates information and processes to make decisions. Later, we'll examine biases that exist in accumulation process and how that can impact that decision-making. Afterwards, we'll explore the process of divisive normalization in the brain and how it drives choice fatigue, which happens when there's choice overload, too many choices happening at once. For that, you can think of an easy example, walking into a Publix or a Kroger, your local grocer, and seeing a ton of grocery items, versus Trader Joe's at one point realizing they wanted to get rid of choice overload. When you look at shelves at Trader Joe's, they're actually quite less stuffed. Having less options improves your likelihood of having a clearer decision and therefore making a purchase. So it's actually a higher conversion from a business standpoint. And we'll explore that deeply throughout module 3 of the course. And lastly, we'll understand the relationship between emotions and risk and how that influences decision-making. For this module, you'll be halfway through the course and we'll be going through providing an analysis of an article written by Professor Platt himself and Ben Hayden on the value of counterfactuals and how they impact business. For module 4, we'll be looking at neuroscience applications directly in marketing. So as Soren, as a guest contributor, serves globally to direct Mars, many others are leading marketing components of their businesses and trying to optimize for getting those consumers or their audience to convert on a purchase, on a decision. And the question is how? How do you convey or display information best to a consumer and appeal to the neuroscience principles that you would have studied through this course to influence their decision-making? So just to think about the mission, we will learn how neuroscience tools and insights can be used to improve that marketing efficiency that we just touched on and effectiveness through relevant case studies and research. So this is transitioning much more to an applied context and will really help you tie it all together. We'll see how neuroscience can reveal hidden thoughts, evaluate the use of brain signals to predict consumer choice and market level behavior, understand the relationship between the brain's emotional and logical responses to build brand empathy, which, as you all know, you may have your own brand empathetic responses at the moment. You might be calling in from a MacBook or an Apple device today, whether it's your laptop or a phone or the AirPods you're using. There tends to be a lot of affinity to Apple, and that's actually a case study that we'll touch on. Next, we'll understand the relationship between the brain's emotional and logical responses. We've just now touched on that for brand loyalty, eventually transitioning to brand empathy, and later thinking about actual tools that are used in neuromarketing. The activities for this module consist of a guest interview with Soren himself, which we've discussed already, and an assignment. The assignment here is to analyze the marketing approach of a brand of your choice. This should be a quite fun activity to use a framework from the course to think about how a brand that you're most affiliated to or most interested in is scaling their marketing practices. And as we transition for module 5, you'll actually be getting closer to the end of your course. And at this point, you'll have explored the brain from an academic perspective and from an applied perspective. So now we will consider different lenses or applications from neuroscience to other aspects of business as well. Through here, we will think about powering innovation and creativity. In module 5, you'll think about how key innovation is for individual and collective success by looking at the brain and the processes that occur to enhance individual creativity and organizational innovation. That will be done by first analyzing focus and divergent thinking and how their underlying neural circuits can impact innovation. Then you will understand the similarities between the ancestral role of foraging in exploration and innovation, which is actually quite exciting. Then you'll discover the biomarkers that are associated with an innovative brain state. By thinking about biomarkers that occur the most during an innovative brain state, we can actually apply neuroscience to think about when individuals are most likely to be innovative. In fact, those studies can be done on an on-field or academic basis, but they can also fuel and optimize performance within your team. And lastly, we'll also learn about biomarkers for creative personalities. Assignments for this module include synthesizing Professor Platt's Monkey Island research and correlating it to human behavior and reflecting on what we can learn from that research. And lastly, for module 6, we will tie all the key components of the course from an academic perspective and applied perspective to think about future trends in neuroscience and the field more broadly, discovering how neuroscience can impact business and life in general through recent trends and future trends, while also acknowledging and unpacking the ethical repercussions of neuroscience applications in business. At this point, as you'll have culminated this academic and professional perspective on neuroscience and its impact on society, you'll have the opportunity to engage in a final project. Throughout this final project, you'll be creating a new application for neuroscience in business, using best practices and creating a pitch for this organization, company, or application. That covers our module 1 through 6 breakdown of what you should expect to learn from the course. And lastly, just to touch on some industry examples that power the knowledge that you'll be engaging with throughout the program. I've already mentioned lightly brand loyalty, and we'll unpack that deeply from a customer loyalty perspective by looking at a case study that focuses on fMRI, which is a neuroscience study technique, to understand customer loyalty between Samsung and Apple users. In addition to that, we'll look at Cogware, which Professor Platt has worked for over a decade on founding, and it's a company that is currently empowering athletic programs to understand their athletes on the field and how they can optimize for improving their performance by understanding their brain behavior. And there are other few case studies that we will be unpacking throughout the course that you'll see here that I recommend you take the time to lightly touch on or later research as these materials are disseminated, ranging between Coca-Cola and Pepsi's customer loyalty, Mars's approach to neuromarketing, and Neuralink, Elon Musk's breakthrough AI company, and how they're using neuroscience applications to improve the world today.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I'm going to step in here. I think this was your last slide, but we're going to step into the program experience features of this program, Daniel. So if I can ask you to stay on with us, and I know I might be putting you on the spot here, but a big part of your role in this program as a program leader is to help support the student learning. So as we jump into that component, we're going to kind of dive into some of those activities and other elements to this program that you're going to be ushering students through. I wonder if you might be willing to kind of describe a little bit what your role is as a program leader in this course and how you work with the faculty to help support the learning throughout their time in this program. Would you be willing to help kind of set the stage for the experiential slides here?
Absolutely, happy to.
So tell us a little bit about what you do as a program leader and how you support students throughout their learning. And then from there, we'll kind of dive into those details together.
Yes, so throughout the program, as your program leader, I'll be in touch with all of you to answer any key questions that you have about the course material. And that will be done either asynchronously, as I'll make myself available throughout the week, but also synchronously in a weekly session that we'll have to cover the academic principles of what you'll be engaging in throughout the course, and also questions you might have about your module-driven assignments, whether it be your unpacking of Platt's research or your own self-exploration where you think about a wearable technology you've encountered. But throughout each of those challenges or approaches to the course through the assignments, I'll be here to answer your questions and guide you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Daniel, for so generously sharing your insights and your knowledge about this program, and also for gearing up to help support this session as the program leader. So I'm going to dive into some of these details here. This will give you a more tactical understanding of this program, how it's delivered, and what you can expect with some of those logistics and other areas here. So the experience in this program, as we sort of already began to touch on, is really centered around relationship building and learning together with various layers of teaching and learning. So you have yourself at the center of the learning, really helping to usher your way through the experience. A layer beyond that, you have your peers in this program who represent all different geographies, all different industry areas, different years of work experience and seniority, all bringing their insights, their knowledge into this reciprocal learning environment. So that peer learning is a really rich opportunity for you to not only see these concepts and frameworks come to life in your work and in your industry and geography, but really to get that broadened scope of understanding as you see these themes coming to life in other areas as well. So we build in a lot of opportunity for you to engage and learn from your peers. A layer beyond that, of course, you have program leaders such as Daniel, industry experts who are coming into this program to guide your day-to-day learning. As Daniel mentioned, our program leaders are there to walk you through every step of this program, from those live teaching sessions and office hours to really helping with that case study analysis, diving into those industry examples through discussion boards and office hour discussions, and helping you with any of those learning assets, assignments, and other activities here in the program. So you have those program leaders really helping to drive that daily learning. A layer beyond that, you have your course faculty. We got to know them here a little bit today, and you'll get to know them in more detail during your time in the program, and you'll have a chance to interact live with Wharton faculty here in this program who designed this curriculum. And of course, a layer beyond that, you've got the Wharton School here, really setting the stage for our call to action to anticipate and create change in order to drive innovation and growth. And that's going to be at the helm of each of these activities as they unfold across these weeks. So your experience from a tactical perspective, if you think of a calendaring perspective, you're going to have an entire week at the beginning. We call this week 0. And this is going to be a chance for you to orient yourself with the program, the learning platform, get to know your peers, get to know your teaching team, set up your networking profile in the platform, and really get prepared for your learning. So you've got that entire 7 days to really familiarize yourself with the platform. From there, each week across the next 6 weeks, a set of content will be released at the beginning of the week. And you and your peers will have an entire week, 7 days, to make your way through that content asynchronously. We've designed it this way in order to accomplish 2 things. Firstly, to give you a high level of convenience. We want you to be able to take this program alongside your professional roles, your family responsibilities. So we wanted to design a program that was convenient for full-time working professionals. So you'll have a chance to design a schedule that works for you across those 7 days. This asynchronous learning also allows us to do something we call bite-sized learning. And this is our pedagogical approach here at the Wharton School, really learning as you go at your own pace in real time and in a way that helps you to apply your learning as you go. So you'll be able to watch on-demand videos that really set the stage for your learning, that describe some of these concepts and frameworks. From there, you'll step away from those on-demand videos and you'll take part, you'll sort of roll up your sleeves and you'll have a chance to immerse yourself in an environment that asks you to practice your learning, to really solidify that and bring it to life. And we do that through knowledge checks, crowdsourcing, polls, discussions, some of these live events that we have as well. And a lot of other opportunities for you to engage with your learning throughout that week. So that's the cadence. So each week you have a set of content released. You've got entire 7 days to make your way through that content around a schedule that works for you. So the live teaching sessions that we schedule, the office hours, these are a chance for you to have a synchronous learning experience. So a chance for you to turn on your camera, turn on your audio, and really engage in rich discussions with your teaching team, with your course faculty and peers. These teaching sessions that are live, we can help you by giving you those dates in advance. If you get connected with a program advisor, they can help walk you through some of those logistics, describe those dates and times for you, and even send you calendar holds in advance so you can visualize your schedule and ensure that you carve out time to be there. If you do have to miss a live session or you're not able to make it, we record them and we post them into the platform for a simulated viewing experience at any time after that event and throughout the rest of your time in the program. So even if you miss a live session, you're going to have that chance for that on-demand experience as well, so you can catch up on anything that took place during those live events. So a lot of opportunity for you to design a schedule that works for you, learn concepts that apply to your work and apply them in real time as you learn them around a schedule that works for you and with a network of peers and colleagues who are helping to enrich your learning experience. So all that to say, this is our summary here. We've got that bite-sized learning pedagogical approach that really allows us to step outside of what's possible in a traditional classroom. In a traditional classroom, you're constrained by space and time. So you've got a certain number of seats in the room, certain amount of minutes to get through a certain set of content. Here in the online world, we're really able to break down that learning in this bite-sized fashion that allows you to immerse yourself, apply as you go, and build a schedule that works for you. So bite-sized learning is a big part of your experience here in this program and what we know works well, particularly for executive education programs designed around business themes. You can see the time commitment is 4 to 6 hours per week. So as you're looking at that 7 days, you're really looking to identify that 4 to 6 hour windows of availability. This can be sort of on your lunch breaks, in the afternoons, when the children are sleeping, evenings and weekends. You really get to design that schedule that works for you across these 6 weeks. And again, real world application. We want you to see your learning come to life during the program. So we're going to be asking you to practice bringing that learning to life through our application exercises and other engagement points. A lot of communications from Daniel and your other program leaders here, helping to usher your day-to-day learning experience, keeping you engaged and helping to push your thinking and drive your learning. So much support in this program throughout your learning. Another thing to note here, it's not highlighted on the slide, but you do have access to this program for an entire year. So you'll have that orientation week to get oriented with the program. You'll have that intensive 6-week learning experience where you're in cadence with your program leaders, with your course faculty and peers. Beyond that 6 weeks, you're going to have the entire remainder of the year to continue to touch on these themes, watch those videos, engage with your peers, and continue to bring your learning to life throughout those platform activities. So a lot in store here for you. We want to make sure that that high level of support begins today with this session. So please do take a look at that chat box. We're going to be posting here in a moment a link that will allow you to connect with one of our program advisors. So as you think about sort of the summary slide here and some of these components that you can expect, our program advisors can walk you through these areas in more detail. They can help describe the evaluative components of the program, how assignments are graded, and any course policy questions you have. What happens if I'm late with an assignment? Those types of questions your program advisors can help you with. So we encourage you to take a look at that chat box. We're going to be posting a link here in just a moment that will allow you to get connected with an advisor so you can touch base on some of these questions you might have as you prepare to begin the program. So stay tuned for more on that. We also wanted to showcase for you here the certificate of completion. This is a chance to earn a credential here from the Wharton School that really formalizes your training and helps set the stage for a career advancement opportunity. So if you're here to really help to showcase your learning and move into some of those career advancement opportunities, this certificate that formalizes your training is going to allow you to reach those goals. So this is one of those assets or those big returns on your investment in this program, is a chance to earn this credential here from the Wharton School. So I see, I'm going to go ahead and open that chat box now, but we also have a link here on the screen. This is our last and final slide of the day. So if you open your chat, you'll see the link there that you can click on. You also see a link on your screen. And if you have your smartphone with you, you can hold that up to the QR code there. All of these links are going to route you to the same place. That's the course website. On the course website, you're going to have an opportunity to do three things. You'll be able to download the full course brochure, which outlines everything we've covered here today and more. It's beautifully designed, and it gives you that comprehensive scope, everything you need to know about this program, from the experience side to the learning. So download that course brochure. The second thing you'll be able to do there is schedule that appointment with an advisor. I've mentioned a couple of times our advisors, and I can't stress the importance of getting connected with a program advisor. They really are your mentor and your guide between now and the time the program begins. They're going to help you with those application materials, help keep you informed on any enrollment deadlines or date changes. And they're also going to help you with any financing, flexible payment options, special group enrollment pricing, any of those flexible and transparent financing options that you might want to explore. They are the experts in those areas. So do get connected there with an advisor. Go on over to that course website. We use an app we call Calendly. Calendly is an app that lets you pick a time that works for you. So scheduling that appointment couldn't be easier to do. It's just a couple of clicks away. You'll be able to select a time in your time zone that works for you to make that meeting connection. The third thing you'll be able to do from that website, of course, is begin that application process. If you haven't done so already and you're interested in applying, go right on over to that course website, and it'll carry you through the entire process. So we hope you'll take a look at the website, download the brochure, get connected with an advisor, and begin getting that support and that mentorship that really is going to lead you to pathways for success in this program. I'd love to learn more from your perspective. You talked a little bit in one of the previous slides about who was this program designed for, and maybe I'll just click right on over to that slide for reference here. So who is the program designed for? And really, this is kind of general themes here. So I'm wondering from a technical perspective, as you think about neuroscience, that can be an intimidating word for folks who don't have a neuroscience background. Certainly, I might be a little bit scared to take a course with neuroscience in the title. So from a prerequisite knowledge standpoint, is this program really designed for someone who's just starting out, who's just wanting to touch on these themes, and who may not have a lot of prerequisite knowledge leading into the program?
Thanks, Marie. I think that's actually a great question. To be honest, I think that if I were to think about that question, the course is really built for anybody. The base level is actually expected to be none. And module one really sets the foundation for understanding the brain more broadly from an academic perspective and its basics. And later throughout the modules 2 through 6, that's later applied to unpack several key applications from the course content in module one on the academic perspective of the brain to later a professional context on business, whether it comes to improving those neuromarketing practices or increasing firm culture and team communication. All of these modules 2 through 6 takeaways are empowered by module one. So I would say that the baseline level of knowledge is expected to be very low, and they will actually supplement the course gradually or throughout a progression where module one serves as its foundation. So we actually encourage all of you, regardless of your level of knowledge, to deeply consider the course and your participation in it, given that, again, the baseline is low. If you're coming in with a higher degree of knowledge, that can't hurt. It might mean that at the beginning, you're more acquainted with some of the material, but nonetheless, you'll still be deeply engaged with and hopefully enticed by what module 2 through 6 are really looking to communicate, which is, from an applied perspective, that research and those case studies that are really fueling some of the key takeaways that are being applied to business leaders today. As I mentioned, the field is continuously growing. More and more firms are hiring chief neuromarketing officers or heads of neuroscience. And that's because they're continuously realizing that the brain and its understanding can directly impact their bottom line on a financial basis. And also just thinking about who they serve, understanding consumers best.
Thank you for describing those details, Daniel. And I want to touch on something that you mentioned and kind of dive a little bit deeper there. You talked about how this course could be applicable for beginners as well as folks with more industry knowledge, background, and experience. And one of the reasons we're able to promise and deliver on that promise is that we've designed this program to be an individualized and customized experience for our learners. So no two cohorts are alike, and we really design your learning together in this sort of reciprocal learning environment. And any of those needs that you have throughout the program, you might want additional resources, articles, you might discover a niche area of interest that you want to explore further. You're able to reach out within the platform to your program leaders, to your peers. You can come into office hours and live faculty sessions and engage with these themes and ideas. So there's a fair amount of individualization and customization that goes behind the way that we've set up this program. So as you're thinking about, I'm just beginning, I might want some additional resources to really help ground my knowledge, you're going to be able to reach out and get those resources and get that support that you need. Conversely, you might be sort of, I'm really experienced, I know a lot about this topic, but I want to better apply frameworks. I want to be approaching these topics from a more strategic perspective. How can I be thinking about doing that better within my organization, my teams? Again, you'll be able to reach out to your course leaders, your teaching team, your program leaders and faculty, and gain those insights as well. So that's what we mean when we say a reciprocal learning environment. This is not a MOOC. That stands for Massive Open Online Course, MOOC. And these are these programs that are online and available for you to take that really just allow you to digest knowledge, frameworks, and key areas. Similar to reading a book, if you will. This is not one of those types of programs. This program really was designed to give you that specialized support and to extend beyond the reach of what's possible in a traditional classroom environment to ensure that you have the very best learning experience and you can apply these themes in real time, get that custom support, and engage with a global audience that represents many different backgrounds, industry knowledge, and other varieties that they'll be bringing here into the program. So let's go right on back over to our module 6 here. Daniel, if I can ask you to jump in here. I know you touched on this briefly, but in terms of the activities that really help us think about the landscape, the future, what's coming up, what are some of those activities this week? Could you help illuminate what we're going to be doing in module 6?
Absolutely. So just to recap, on module 6, we'll really be thinking about, after having unpacked the elements or core of the brain from an anatomical perspective in module 1, and later thinking about team performance, improving culture, and neuromarketing in 2 through 5. We'll later transition all of that to think about future trends in the space more broadly in module 6, and how those future trends will be fueled by improvements in neurotechnology, neuroeconomics, and neurodiversity. And later, towards the end, we'll just take a moment to reflect and think about, as current and future trends continue to fuel the space, what ethical repercussions are at its crux, and how can we circumnavigate some of those? And your final project will be at the forefront of that by allowing you to develop a pitch for an application, idea, or company itself in a startup pitch environment or fashion, where you'll be able to layer out some of the mission and values of that product and its applications of neuroscience, which should be supported by what you've learned in the course.
That's super helpful, Daniel. Thank you for walking us through those details again and providing a little bit more information about how we're going to be rounding out our time here in the program. It's a great question, Thea. You also asked about those live sessions that we're holding. So we do have live faculty teaching sessions in this program, office hours as well. During these sessions, you're going to have a chance to engage with your teaching team more broadly in real time. So you'll turn on your camera and your audio, and you'll get to see one another during those live sessions. So thank you for asking. For more information, Sia, on the format of those live sessions, when they're scheduled, who is going to be attending, whether Dr. Platt will be there. It looks like you have a very specific question there. Get connected with an advisor. Again, they are closest to those details and can help keep you informed of any changes as we approach that course launch date. So certainly make sure you have that one-on-one support leading into that course launch coming up. So I think we've reached the end of our questions here. So I want to encourage you all one more time to grab that link out of the chat. If you haven't done so already, we're going to post it one more time for you. Thank you to our host. So we have that link there for you again now. That link is going to take you over to our website where you can apply for the program, download a course brochure, and schedule a one-on-one appointment with a program advisor. So Daniel, final words. I'd love to invite you in one last time. You're going to be teaching this program. I know you're excited to launch this course. Any words of wisdom, words of advice that you'd like to share to prospective students?
Words of advice. Thank you, Marie, for walking us through an introduction to the course, the history of Wharton, and sort of what the student should expect from a cadence perspective. In terms of words of advice, really look forward to having you all come in with an open mind and enroll with us on this journey that will really help you understand the brain, which even from an academic perspective, sometimes we forget that we may have studied it from an academic lens previously, or maybe we've never engaged with it that way. And then really thinking about that, it's that connection to applied neuroscience in business, which oftentimes does not get enough representation in terms of different ways that it can be leveraged. And I think that's why you all will become incredibly powerful by having an understanding of this, because I think that it's a growing field, and your understanding of it will fuel success as business professionals. So encourage you all to just engage with any literature or studies that you can come across as you gear up for the course, to just start to get some of a fundamental understanding. But trust me that if you do nothing till then, you'll still be incredibly well prepared by coming in with an open mind. The base level of knowledge is low, and I think that you'll all have such strong takeaways after your participation.
Daniel, that's super helpful to know. Thank you for that advice. It's such a great note to end on. Certainly, as you think about your learning, this program is going to help you to round out your leadership capabilities and really be thinking about these emerging themes and topics in this landscape. So thank you again, Daniel, for being so generous, sharing your insights and thoughts here throughout our session today. And to all of you from across the globe who've joined in, thank you as well for being here. We hope to see you back in the program beginning just around the corner. But for now, we sign off today with a heartfelt good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day to all of you from around the globe. We hope to see you back soon. Thanks again for joining. Bye-bye.